explain the difference between having a strong brand versus not having a brand? Because I think a lot of like not only creators, but also a lot of companies kind of don't really understand the concept of branding.
Yeah. Well, Martin Neumeyer kind of nailed it when he says that a brand is a person's gut feeling when it comes to a product, service, or organization. Meaning, if you have an emotional feeling, an emotional experience or emotional opinion about a product, service, or company, that makes it become a brand. And a lot of people think that as long as you have a logo, you have a brand. It's not true. A logo is just a logo. It's nothing else. And the same when it comes to having a beautiful website or having a good product that, of course, is the best product that is out there. Still, it's just a product. It's nothing more. The moment that people have a personal experience with that product or service, that's when it becomes a brand. And the challenge, which is something that I do address in the book that I just wrote, is the fact that people forget to take the time to figure out who are we? Why do we exist? What is our purpose? What do we provide of value to the consumers that we try to reach? And then what kind of problems do we solve? What is the pain point? Like, are we a painkiller or are we something that inspires? You're just figuring out those single tiny details, which are so important, is the thing that people skip the most. And what they do, they jump straight into methods. It's like, I built a website, I have a product, I want to do Facebook advertising, I'm going to do TikTok, I'm going to do Instagram, I'm just going to promote out of it. Pardon my French.
It's all good.
Beep. And then in a way they forget about what's the essence of who we are. And I think that's what boils it down. Like what is a brand is like, it is the essence of who you are and what kind of impact, what kind of dent in the universe you want to make with the product and service that you provide.
So for someone who's maybe just started a company or they've just started producing content for themselves and they want to really position themselves to have a strong brand from day one, what are a few tips for someone getting started and, creating a strong brand, or at least laying a good foundation for building a strong brand?
Right. I tend to go into the 5 C's, and the 5 C's is about like the company. What is the company? What is the purpose, the mission, what's the North Star of the company? And then you go into the category. What kind of category are we operating in? Who is within the category? Then the consumer or the customer. Who's the target group? What are they doing? What's their habits? What's their media consumption, etc., etc. Then go into context, like how does the society around us look like? Like, are there social things we need to be aware of, economic, technology things that we need to be aware of that will affect the company? And then the final thing is channels. So when we know who the consumer is, then we also should know what kind of channels we should operate in. And it's not just about operating the channels that the consumer is in, but also the channels that we feel more comfortable operating in. Because again, if we feel hopelessly foolish or we find it awkward to operate on Twitter or Instagram or do TikTok videos because, it's like, it's a little bit cringing, don't do it. Then find another way to get that message out. But at least like focus on those 5 C's, super important, because then you map out what the essence of the company is. That's how you start the brand. But then you also have and that's the thing that I kind of like think that is the most important thing when it comes to marketing. Know where you are, because that's the only way you're going to figure out where to go. Yeah.
And I think a few people get too far ahead of themselves. They don't do that foundational look over of their company, and they think they're something that they're not, and then they run into issues of finding out why people aren't buying or why people aren't resonating or engaging or whatever it may be. It's because you don't understand the customer too well yet.
Exactly.
So, and so you've probably seen so many mistakes made over the years. What are some of the biggest mistakes brands or people make to, I would say, not destroy their brand, but take a few steps back?
Yeah.
What should people avoid?
I think the biggest red flag for me is, and I see this across the board everywhere, is that so many companies and brands and just people in general are just focused about how important it is for them to say something. and they forget to focus about it's not about you, it's about the audience, it's about the consumer that you're trying to reach. Like, what are their pain points? What do they care about? Why should they listen to you? And like, who are you? Why should they care about what you have to say? Like, figuring out those kind of simple things is super important. But that's where most people fail today, because they are so focused on all the unique things that they have to sell and promote and talk about, that they actually just get lost. Like, they can't see the forest for the trees because they're just so hung up in their own, silver shining bullet in a way.
Sorry, continue.
No. So basically, I would say that's the biggest issue, that they focus too much about their own story instead of like figuring out like what's important. And then secondly, trying to smear, like, how do you, like, there's a Norwegian expression saying that you're spreading yourself too thin. And basically it's like you try to tackle everything in the shortest amount of time. Meaning you try to, like, instead of focusing on one channel where, like, this is where I'm going to build my tribe, this is where I'm going to, in my book, I'm talking about the fact that, like, storytelling has been part of human history. Like, we had the bonfire, we lit the bonfire, and then people started gathering around the bonfire to hear stories. And if you do that consistently, then more and more people will come. And if the stories are good, more and more people will come, because it's like, this is interesting, this is valuable to me, this provides something. And that's also something that I see many do as a mistake. They just jump on the latest trend because they think that that's what's going to work, but it's never going to work.
Yeah, well, I can't remember who said this, but I saw an amazing quote one time that was, marketing is what gets people to the party, and then branding is the reason they stay.
Exactly.
So similar to your bonfire analogy, you've got to have both, but at the end of the day, the branding is really important, because you want to keep people following you. You want to keep people engaging, and you want to really make the most of your marketing efforts, because you can have the best marketing in the world, but if people aren't hanging around, or people aren't buying, all the marketing in the world's not going to help you. Hey guys, we put a bunch of effort into making great content for this YouTube channel, so please hit subscribe, leave us a comment, hit like, and tell a few friends about it.